So let's get started with what is even research. Because the whole essence of this section is basically to make it easy for you to like have a very good understanding. I don't expect you to have any understanding of what research is all about or to have been involved in research before now. So I'm going to make it so basic and it will be easy for you to follow and you'll be able to understand what exactly you need to know regarding undergraduate research. The very first thing is that what is research? What is research? What's research? From the word, you can see re and search. Research. That means that we continue to search. We continue to find the truth. We continue to uncover new things. And the beautiful thing about research is that without research, we cannot advance. There's no advancement that can take place without research. Everything that you see around you, every development that you see around you, actually what comes before that research. That's why we call it research and development (R&D). So, as young researcher, as students, so what are the things that you need to know to be able to have to add to your capability? The very first thing is to know that even if you're not going to be an academic, having a very good understanding of what research is all about and how it can benefit you is always important. For instance, if you're a businessman and you have, let's say, a firm or you have a company, you might need to sometimes need to understand some things regarding your business. You can apply research. So research is always valuable. And in this client and this part of the world, we as the next generation, we need to actually understand this that we need more investment when it comes to research. And we are the future. And that's why we need to actually try as much as possible to build capacity in it, to understand what is research and how we can actually leverage on it for innovation, for development. So if you are interested in research as an undergraduate, I know most of the time you don't have access to the resources, and sometimes maybe you don't even know how to start. And what are the things that you need to know? What are the things that you need to cover in this section? So, what is the general importance? What is the general importance of research? Why do we even do research? I said earlier, it is required for development and, in fact, in solving problems. Let me give you a practical example. Let's say during the COVID-19 pandemic, we don't have researchers. What will happen? That means that we won't be able to discover vaccine, we won't be able to understand how to manage or curb the pandemic. Beyond the laboratory, there are other forms of research that actually play key roles in understanding the COVID-19 pandemic. So if you are an engineer, there are a lot of things that you can do research into uncover new ideas, new concepts that will be useful to us to be able to advance our knowledge. So the whole essence and what you can pick is that just imagine during COVID, we don't have researchers or the kind of building that you see around you. We don't have any researcher that is actively working or thinking of how best we can develop new ways of building or of constructing buildings or of doing things in another way. Then that means that we won't have any advancement. So as an undergraduate, I hope this overview or as an early career researcher is able to give you how important, give you insight on how important research is, and that if you are involved in research as an undergraduate, you're not wasting your time. And there are other things that are actually attributed to you doing research. Now, like I've said earlier, development, innovation, making impact are things that research actually do for us. We are able to do research to advance our knowledge. So now, what are the other benefits? Let's say to the researcher itself, if you're a researcher, what are the things that is actually being added to you? If you look at research, generally researchers as a whole, they are generally seen as a thought leader. They are seen as thought leader. They are seen as someone that is, of course, there's a critical thinker. And if you look at how research is done, the process that is required or that is involved that you have to go through when you want to do research, you see that it actually requires a lot of critical thinking. And along the line, you also build additional soft skills. You build other skills, e.g., writing skills, public speaking skills, and other skills along the line. So doing research as a whole makes you a critical thinker, and of course, you're a problem solver. As a researcher, you constantly think of how you can solve problems. What are the things that you can do to advance our knowledge, to improve our understanding? So, and from everything that you have seen now, you see that research is actually beyond publication. But publication is also important as a researcher because that's the way you can communicate your research. your findings to the whole world. And that's why you see most of the time people tend to see research as just publication. No, research actually comes before you do research first, then you are communicating your findings through publication, whether in peer-reviewed journals, whether in other platforms. So now research is there. But how we communicate our science, our findings, what we discover is through publication. That's why if you see researchers, they are actively publishing so that they can communicate their science, their research to the whole world. So now, in addition to that, of course, when there's problem, let's say public health problem, or there's problem in the environment, or there's something that needs new thinking or new approaches, then researchers will always be there to provide insight. If you look at Google, look at Facebook, if you look at any organization that is developing products or that is driving major innovation, go and check their team. There is going to be someone doing research. If you look at pharmaceutical company, if you look at engineering companies, look at different organizations that are doing remarkable things, you see that they have people that are actually in charge of doing research. So everything I'm saying since is just for you to see how important and how valuable research is, and how you can actually see where you actually fit in. And actually, most of the time, one of the challenges that we have as undergraduates, as someone that wants to get as early career researcher, is that you don't even know where to start. What are the things that you need to start doing for you to be able to do research in line with your academics? The important thing is that there is, if you want to do anything exceptional, you have to pay the price. That's what I tell people. You can't do something really exceptional without you, of course, willing to pay the price. And paying the price is you doing things or you getting involved in research or doing other things as an undergraduate. But the point is that you are not always busy with your academics as an undergraduate. Because me, I remember that when I want to get involved in research, I understand that my academics is really important. At the same time, I want to do something more. If you want to do something exceptional, you have to do something unconventional. Always note that. You can't see anyone that maybe you see that this person does something really, really insightful or really, really interesting. You will notice that there's some part that looks really, really difficult or a bit that looks somehow impossible. So, what are the things that you need to know? The very first thing is that as an undergraduate researcher, you need to understand which kind of area do you want to do research in. And before I go deep, really deep into that, another importance of undergraduate research is that now, let's say you are interested in going into research after your, let's say, undergraduate education. It's a big plus. If you are not interested in going into graduate school, anything can happen. Even if you are not really interested in going into that now, I know many people in my class then that said they are not going to do their masters or do their PhD. Now they've started. Some of them are still applying. So is highly dependent on what you want to do, but at the same time, you getting involved doesn't really remove anything from you. So it makes it easy because in a competitive world, when you're applying for some jobs, for some opportunities, for positions, later, publication, you being a researcher, you understanding how to do research, be a plus to you, no matter any stage that you're in, no matter what you do. If you are applying to an organization that doesn't actually require you maybe getting involved in research, they're going to value what you being a researcher or you having publication or you contributing to knowledge in your field. So no matter anything that you do, if you're applying for jobs that doesn't have any aspect of research, you listed that on your CV actually shows that you're a critical thinker. It shows that you're a problem solver. It shows that you have insight to be able to think innovative. Because as a researcher, if you can see the process of doing research, which I'm going to talk about in a bit, you see that it actually requires a lot of thinking, a lot of you driving knowledge or you driving discussion forward in your field, in your area of field. So there are quite a lot of benefits. And I can tell you for someone actually have quite a number of publications as an undergraduate, you can never go wrong you getting involved in research as an undergraduate. So it's going to be a big boost to your profile. And at the same time, you are making impact. You are contributing to knowledge in your field. So in addition to that, now let's go into what can you do for you to be able to actually get involved in research? What are the things that you can practically you can start doing right now that will actually improve your capability, your ability to even get involved in research. The very first thing is that you have to understand that researchers they actually write a lot. As a researcher, you have to write, you have to pen things down. Even if you have this era of ChatGPT or other AI that people used to write, I won't say you should not use this tool, but I still most of the time I tell people that you still need to understand the process that is required. And you try as much as possible to pay the price of actually let you learning how to write in the right way, a way that is insightful, in a way that of course is scientific. And for me, how I actually started is not just start that okay, I just woke up one day and I started knowing I started writing perfectly. It's actually a lot of process. And processes in the sense that you have to invest time to read journal articles in your feed. And that bounce back to the fact that you have to understand which area do you want to focus on. I know some people here they are interested in wet lab research, they want to do drug discovery, and they are depressed in the sense that they don't even know where to start, they don't know who to reach out to. People in public health space, you can easily do questionnaire, you can do survey, you can learn how to do those interviews. But if you need to build capacity in wet lab research, I'm still going to give you insight on the things that you need that you can start doing that will actually make that possible or that will make it easy for you to get started. So one of the fastest way and one of the things that you can start doing is that you have to start reading papers. And this bounds back to the fact that you understand the field that you're going into. And another thing is that you don't need to know the exact field. And this is what I mean. You don't need to know the exact field that you are going into. For instance, you might know that okay, you are interested in public health. Public health is broad, right? Public health is broad, and there are a lot of areas in public health. So when I started, I didn't start with a fully formed idea of what I really want to focus on in public health. I just know the broad area that I'm interested in, which is public health, which is global health. And I get started. So for you, it might be that you are in engineering and you like something with coding, or you like something on water sustainability. So you are going to have that broad area of what exactly you want to focus on. And that doesn't mean that you have to narrow down now. Maybe for some people in public health space, we have mental health, we have different areas in the public health space. So we have many areas, we have many fields that you can explore. But that doesn't mean that you start looking down. It's still the process of learning, of building that capacity. And the point is that this is not the time for you to say you want to really focus on you getting publication. What is important is you having a very good understanding of the process. And when you are able to build that capacity, you understand how the thing works. You see that publishing is actually at the end of the game, at the end of everything, because you now have a very good understanding of how to proceed. So undergraduate research basically how I perceive it and how it's actually basically educational. You are exposing yourself to things that will add to your ability to be able to do research. And the more you expose yourself to those information, the more you are adding to your capability to even be able to publish. But if you focus on publication and you don't have a very good insight of what research is all about, or even what is the whole point of doing research, or what is even the rudiment and the processes that are required, then that's not good enough. So the whole point is that you can dedicate just 1 year or 2 years or 6 months. In my own case, I actually focus on learning the basic principle of research for I think almost like 1 year or 6 months to 1 year, just to learn about what research is all about. So during that time, my early days, I don't really focus on having publication. So the whole point is that I want to understand what research is, what are the opportunities that are available for me in my field. But now I don't really have a niche then. I don't have because I'm focusing on mental health as my area, or I'm focusing on cancer, or I'm focusing on this particular area. You can start from the broad length just to have a very good or a broad overview of what research is like in your own area. So let's say you are able to identify that. The next thing is for you to start looking for ways to read papers. And I tell people that you don't even need to understand what is in the paper. You just make an effort day by day. And one thing that you have to understand about capacity building is that if you really want to build capacity in something, my own belief is that there's nothing too big for you to master. The major problem that we have as learner, as someone that wants to learn something, is that we are most of the time we are really unwilling to actually pay the price by being consistent. There's nothing that you cannot build capacity in. What is required of you is you sitting down with it, look at things, ask questions. So for me, when I started, then I started reading papers, I started taking different online courses, all sorts of things. And as I'm doing those things, I'll be seeing different things that pique my interest in terms of what is the meaning of this, what is even an abstract, what is how do we submit papers to conferences? All those things you'll be seeing that those questions will be coming to you. So you can note those questions down and you can start asking people that you called mentor. And that's one of the hacks that people still don't understand regarding mentorship is that you as an individual, you are the one that will pay the price of building capacity, of improving your knowledge. Nobody will pay that price for you or sitting down to do the real work or add it to yourself. But there are many people that are willing and they are happy to help you. If you are so, if you understand what you are doing and you have specific questions and insights that you want to, things that you want to know about. For instance, you reach out to me that, oh, hi, I want to understand how to submit paper to conferences. What is the processes like? Can you spare me like 10 minutes? Can you spare me 5 minutes or 15 minutes or 30 minutes of your time? No, that is straightforward. That is clear. That means that you've tried your best. We won't be able to understand that we can submit after the conference. That shows that you've done your own work. So it will be easy for that person to guide you and give you additional insight. So that consistency should be there. It might be that okay, you will be doing it, you will be focusing on learning about something about research, maybe twice a week. Maybe that you want to take online course, and there's something about Coursera. Yes, Coursera, there are different online courses that you can take on Coursera, on Future Learn, on different platforms. I took those courses. And there are many YouTube videos that you also watch on different aspects of research that is not clear to you. So there are many resources in the area that we are in. So you can't say you don't have resources to learn. That is something that someone should call you out and ask you that, really, are you sure? If it's our father, our forefather, their own time, if they want to read papers, if they want to read something in the library, they have to start looking for documents, start using torchlights to look for papers in library, in dirty, dusty library. But you now, you have access to most information. Anything, just search online, you are going to see those information, and something will come. But I know that sometimes it might be difficult for you to process some stuff. Those are the kind of things that you reach out to people to ask them about, and they'll be able to give you insight. In a few minutes, you are done and you are clear with that thing. So, get involved in research as an undergraduate requires you actually to be consistent in you seeking out for information, you trying to understand concepts and things that you need to have to be able to build your capacity. So that, especially again, that reading journal articles, there are quite a lot of journal articles. And if you know that maybe you are interested in public health, you are interested in global health, there are different journals that you can explore. You can go online and search Journal of Engineering, Journal of Social Sciences, top journals in history, top journals in this particular veterinary, top journals in cancer. You're going to see different papers, different journals coming up, different links coming up. But in that area that we need to maximize the information that is available to us on the internet. So don't just, of course, don't just believe that uh, the information is not available. It's there. It's the way you are searching. Primarily, Google is my second friend. Most of them, I Google. Actually, today I've Googled quite a lot of things already, just today. So constantly, I'm searching for information. I'm searching for insight. I'm searching for new information. So Google should be when something comes to your mind, is this information available on Google? Search on Google. Go to images. Go to videos. You're going to see something that will actually come up that will guide you or give you additional insight on what you want to learn. So leverage on that opportunity that we have in our era. So you can go on, like I said, Coursera and all those platforms, Future Learn, EPX, most of these they are free to audit. And this is what I mean. You don't need to pay for you to take most of those courses. What is important is you sign up, or it's only if you need certificate. Most of the time you don't need certificate. But if you need certificate, you can apply for waiver, you can apply for other I think other support from Coursera. I know there's waiver for most of their courses, which is ask for it. So there are resources there that you can use that will guide you, that will give you insight. And if you're asking questions to mentors and people that have better knowledge in that field regarding research, you'll be able to leverage on their knowledge with a specific question that you've already made effort. And that will also make learning a lot more easier. So explore journals, read journal articles in your feed. So another thing I also start doing. So this session, I'm assuming that we have quite a number of people here across different fields, the public health, social science, engineering. I'm assuming that another thing that you can do is to identify top researcher. in your area of interest. And these top researchers, you don't even need to talk to them. Again, you're in the area that you can read people's work, you can know a lot about what they are doing, even without talking to them. I have quite a lot of people that are my role models in my area of interest. They're role models because, of course, I've never talked to them. But the day I have the opportunity to talk to them, they will so shocked that I know quite a lot of things about their work, about their research. It's not like stalking, but stalking in a good way, not in a bad way, not in a negative way that you are stalking someone. You are stalking to learn from them, to monitor their research, to build your capacity because these people, they've done quite a lot of things in your field. So these people should serve as your own role model. Maybe you know someone that has done beautiful work, let's say in mental health space. You know, this researcher has done a lot of work in cancer. This person has done a lot of research maybe in civil engineering. This person has done a lot of research on flooding. All this information again, they are available online. You can just say, go online, scientists work in this particular area, scientists doing this, or just go online and just look for possible keyword that you can play around with. This era, you need to know how to search for information. Very, very important. You need to know how to leverage keywords to look for information yourself. So Google is your best friend. And even regarding learning new things, you can also leverage ChatGPT to learn new information. You have additional insight on things. ChatGPT is so good that you can start talking to ChatGPT as your best friend. That, oh, can you tell me this thing? Okay, how do I do this? How do I do that? So leverage on all these results that we have this era. So this can replace you having proper mentorship from people, but you can still use ChatGPT as maybe your partner, maybe searching, asking for. You know, you can ChatGPT is there, you can ask silly questions. Nobody needs to. Nobody will see that you ask silly questions. Of course, you and AI. And AI doesn't understand it, doesn't have sense, or doesn't understand anything. So you can ask any question, even if you think it's a foolish question. So all these little things are things that you should leverage on, that you should utilize into your own advantage. So courses online, consider there are different courses, basic introductory courses that give you overview on things that you want to learn. You want to learn how to develop questions. There are different videos on YouTube. There are different resources on Coursera or FeatureLearn that will tell you how to develop good questionnaire. So you will see that the major limitation and the major problem is you being consistent and you having that time to devote to building your knowledge in that particular area. And like I said earlier, no matter it is that you want to do, for you to be good at it, you have to pay that price of being consistent. There's nothing that you can remove from that. You can't subtract that part of you doing it for you to learn more about. So, like I said, look for researchers in your area, in your field of interest. If you go to Google Scholar now and you search for names of some of your lecturers or some of your professors, you see them coming up. Or some researcher that you think that, oh, this person has been working in this particular area. Okay, let me search for their name. You see them coming up on Google Scholar or ResearchGate. So these are platforms where researchers have that you can follow their research, you can see the work they are doing, and that will, of course, expose you to additional information. So another thing that you can also leverage on, like I said, this area is social media. Let's say you are interested in research on HIV/AIDS, and I'll be shocked that right now you don't know top organization or top research organization in HIV space. So if you're interested in cancer, you're interested in civil engineering, all these organizations, all these interesting international organizations that will give you that exposure on new advancement in knowledge, they're all available. They're all at our fingertips. You don't have to stress too much. Just go online, search. Go on, look for organization in your area of interest. Maybe public health. Maybe you are not, you don't know what exactly you want to focus on public health space. There are organizations that actually focuses on primarily on different areas. You should know those organizations in your field, and you can follow them on social media. Some of the time you see them sharing different publication or different papers. When you go online, instead of you to see your friend dancing from morning to night, no, that's good. If you see your friend dancing, that's perfect. But at the same time, you're able to say something that will add to you in your career in terms of your knowledge. When you say, okay, this new research, oh, we have this new cure, we have this. For instance, now you don't even need to read news to have all this information. For instance, when we have new vaccine for malaria, you see different organizations, different public health organizations, different people trying to cause that kind of thing. So you don't even need to stress too much. So all these little things are things that you can actually use to your advantage to be able to improve that your exposure. So actually doing research as an undergraduate is more of you exposing yourself to information. And if you start now, it's not going to remove anything from you. And at the same time, you have to have that exposure so early that access to information, access to opportunity will be at your fingertips. So you learning how to do research as an undergraduate, and but there's another thing that you can start doing in terms of you improving your writing skills. And I noticed that this is actually very, very important across field, the public health space, in different areas. This is also really, really important. Is that there are other forms of research beyond you doing original research, beyond you collecting data, you going to the field to do all sort of things to get data, doing interview. Honestly, they are important. Doing primary research is important. We call it primary research. You go to the field to get data yourself. That's what you do when you are doing your final year research, where you distribute questionnaire, you do interview, all those kind of things. So you are getting primary data from the field. So we have other forms of research beyond you you collecting original data. We have something called secondary research. So as you are building capacity in understanding how primary research is done, what I did then was that I was using secondary research to improve my writing skills. And this is what I mean. Like for secondary research, let me give you an example. Example of secondary research is you write an opinion article, you write a commentaries, perspective, viewpoint, literature review, essays, debates, this kind of article. So most of the time in scientific journals, we have these articles also present. Even book chapter. In fact, my first publication was a book chapter. The one thing I was opportunity to write. Because another thing about writing is that the more you write, the more you get better. And if you I know most of the time, like when I look at my Facebook post, like that's when I was in secondary school, I usually laugh that what is this? I mean, the one writing all this nonsense. So the point is that the more you tend to write, the more you improve your writing skills. So if you stop writing, that's why I would say that as an early career researcher, you should not really focus too much on using ChatGPT because you'll be shocked that your writing skills will just diminish because now you're not writing actively because you are not relying on something to write it for you. I will ask you to actually try as much as possible to build your own writing skills and you can form team, maybe a team of 5 people or 4 people that want to improve it, that want to improve their writing skills. Form that network. Maybe sometime when you are free, early days of the semester, or when you are free, you just want to pen something down, just write. You guys can write together. You guys can get. You can form that team. You give each other feedback, or you send it to someone that can give you interested feedback on your writing. So as a researcher, that can be removed. You have to write. You can leverage on all these tools when you've had some level of mastery on what research is, how you structure research writing, how you can structure your essays. And I think next week we're also planning another session, and this session we are going to focus on writing really. What are the things that you can start doing that will add to your writing skills, your writing ability? So you see the way you know about these events, I will communicate with the panel to make it known to you. So we'll be talking about things that you can start doing to improve your writing skills because I know that that's what is important. Because if you don't improve your writing skills, how will you even communicate your research? If you know your research, how will you write it in a proper way that will be acceptable for publication in journals? So, like I said, I used um, this secondary research to improve my writing skills. So how? Instead of me then to start, to start maybe making noise on social media or start saying things, all those kind of things, I converted those energy into writing. And this is what I mean. Let's say it's something that maybe you notice during COVID-19 pandemic, maybe you notice that we are excluding um, some maybe vulnerable population, or we are you have something that is in your mind. Maybe you have something regarding funding or funding of healthcare system in Nigeria or in Africa, and you want to comment. You have an idea, you have something that you want to write. You can write opinion article, you can write commentary, you can write few points, you can write letters to the editor. And when I started there, when I started writing for journals, started writing for I have a lot of rejections based on my writing skills, the way I write. But I noticed that the more I write, the more I tend to be able to have a very good mastery of how I structure things. And another thing you can start doing, like I recommend earlier, is reading papers. The more you read papers, let's say in your feed, the more you see the way scientists, right? The more you see the way they make argument, more you see the way they share their own insight, the more you see the way they structure things, and you can start maybe looking at the way they write. For instance, if you look maybe you are looking at the paper, what you notice that it's actually structured. The way it is written, the layout, the structure, the everything is structured in a way that is easy for people to understand what you have done. For instance, if you look at the introduction section of the paper, see that most of the time they started big, then they narrow down onto the aim of their research. Start looking for aim of paper. You're going to see that particular style. But the more you read, the more you're able to cement or have a very good understanding of this tactics, not really tactics, this way or mechanism of writing. So the more you read, and when you are reading now, when you are reading scientific paper, now don't worry about those statistics. You're still going to learn them. What is important is uh you exposing yourself to those information. And sometimes you say, "Please, I don't understand statistics. I don't like reading paper." That's not the point. The reason why you should read papers is for you to see, expose yourself to different kinds of paper. After you open a journal and you see letters to the editor, you be curious, what is letter to the editor? What is opinion article? What is perspective? And all these things, I know you are a student and you're an undergraduate student. There's still some time that you have maybe on weekend that you can use to do these things. It's about planning your time and you attaching value and importance to these things. Of course, it shouldn't affect your academics, but what is also really important is that you understand the value of what you are building and you are paying that price. And when the fruits start coming, you yourself you'll be thankful for it. That I'm really glad I've exposed myself to all this information. Because if you look at the world that we are in right now, when we say, "Oh, you are from Nigeria," you usually experience quite a lot of strike action. Okay, let's lower the limits for you. Let's lower the requirements. You should not have this. Don't worry, you should not have that. No, have to meet some level of quality for you to be able to compete on things globally. And this is time. Undergraduate years is so fast paced, but that time is always very good for us to be able to expose ourselves to many information as much as possible. So it's not late anytime you start. If you start after school, it's not late. Even if you start at the university 5 years, 4 years, 10 years, 100 years after, it's not late. But the idea is that those that start early, there's no point you blame yourself. You can never blame yourself that you started. I started learning data analysis from my undergraduate years. I blame myself. Why did I learn data analysis? You never blame yourself for that because you've added to your skills. Imagine as an undergraduate, you can use R, you can use Python, you can use different languages. Imagine you're able to learn that as an undergraduate and you can use it. Imagine you putting that in your CV, you're going for graduate school. That's a lot of plus. That's something to you. So it's never too late for you to start doing anything. Don't say, "Oh, okay." Because then personally, I also have that I had that mindset that, "Oh, okay, I have to start maybe to get involved in research, I have to wait till I finish from pharmacy school." But I just attended that program, Global Health Emerging Leaders Program. I know you that know me, of course, you know that program by Global Health Focus. So that program is really the one that actually did a lot of inspiration that inspired me that, "Oh, you can do research as an undergraduate, you can build capacity." So I got the ginger, I got the energy. And that's what I'm doing for you today. If you don't think that it's possible for you to get involved in this, at least I did that. And I have more than 50 publication as an undergraduate. And I presented in quite a number of conferences as well. So that's just to see that, to tell you that it's possible. You just need to schedule your time, plan your time, know where you want to do this, where you want to focus on your study. Of course, if I have exam, you won't see me um, trying to write papers when I have exam tomorrow. No. So that's about you being strategic on how you plan your time and when you focus on things. So don't be too. "Oh, I don't people are publishing, people are doing that." That's not really the. You can focus on you building or you immersing yourself into that learning aspect of you forming yourself, of you improving your exposure, pay that price of those time. And when it is actually the time for you to start, start writing or start sending papers to journals or start collaborating. Because I find it interesting that you ask, "Okay, can I collaborate with you on research?" The idea is that if you are collaborating on research, that means that if I give you a path, you can write it really well to be able to meet the required standard. So that's why I tell people focus on that part of you improving your knowledge, of you improving your craft. And that requires you building writing skills, you exposing yourself to information in that area that you want to build capacity in. Is it in different area that is not popular? No area of research is used there. You see some people they are working, they are doing research on crocodile. You'll be wondering why is this person working on crocodile? You'll be amazed the way this kind of research can actually help us to understand some things, to improve the way we do things. So there's no area of research that is bad. There's no area of research that is not possible for you to explore. So even any field, any academic field, so while you're in the university, there's research aspect of the program. There's something, either in business management, business administration, there are quite different perspectives, different areas. So I don't have experience in those areas, but you will definitely see researchers that are doing beautiful work in that area, beautiful, interesting research. And that doesn't mean that it should be in the country. Of course, again, we have access to a lot of information in this our era. We have access to a lot of things to leverage on them. So now let me go back again. Because there are quite a lot of things. If you give me time to start talking, a lot of things that I want to talk about, but if you have more time later to explore some other things. So now I started writing opinion articles, perspective, viewpoints. You get those kind of articles. And what they mean, I also good thing is that when I want to do research, I have to start questionnaire, I have to start doing interview. There's also something called secondary research. And I've mentioned an example of secondary research to you, something like doing literature review, reviewing papers on a particular topic, or you writing your opinion, your perspective. Maybe you think during the pandemic, we excluded some people, or you want to write about maybe the role of engineering in global kind of writing. We are wondering, okay, what is the importance of being an engineer or engineering as a field? How is it going to advance the field of global health? And write an opinion article in 1,500 words. Then your thoughts, your opinion, what you think about that topic down, and that can be published in the journal. For instance, you can write on maybe mental health of pharmacy students. I think that's one of my first papers. I wrote something on mental health of pharmacy students, why we don't really focus on that and why we should focus on it. So most of the time, you don't always have to focus on you doing original research. There are other types of publication, depending on your field. For instance, I can wake up now and say, maybe I want to write an opinion or perspective article for a journal on, let's say, the role of maybe pharmacists in business administration. I'm just giving you the kind of thinking that you start having. There are a lot of things that you can think about, a lot of things that you can write about. So far, you have a very good idea, you have very good insight that you want to contribute to knowledge. You can get them submitted to journal and they will be published. And that is added to your own publication list as well. And at the same time, you are using those opportunities to also improve your writing skills. So I started writing that. I wrote commentaries on different topics. I got rejection from journals. I got feedback from some journals. I used those feedback to improve my writing processing. So there are a lot of things that you have to learn from submitting to journals to understanding journals. But early exposure to journal will give you an insight of how journal is. So publishing in journal is not really a problem. Of course, you can see guide for authors for different kinds of articles. So what I'm sharing with you right now is that beyond doing original research, which you need to learn, which is important, there are other forms of articles that can be published in journals. Those include something like maybe commentary, opinion articles, perspective, book chapters. Book chapters, there are some institutions or some authors that need people to write on different books. You can write a book chapter. So even one of my first was book chapter. I was invited by someone to contribute to a book chapter. So you can also write book chapters. You can write articles. And what will make all these things to be a lot more easier for you is the fact that you have that exposure. You've exposed yourself to reading those papers. Let's say, for instance, you want to write commentaries. It's not so difficult for you to go to journals or different platforms, familiarize yourself with them, read an example of a commentary article. You want to write a review article, go and read review article, look at it. Even if it takes maybe some training or some courses on that, you can do that. or you need someone that needs maybe you want to ask some question about it, you can ask people. But you reading that paper in a journal, see, okay, you go to a journal, what's his opinion, what's his perspective, what's his viewpoint, what's his letter to the editor, how can you write one? What are the example of those people that have been written before? Read them, and you'll be able to have additional insight on what they are and how that particular author actually pen their own thoughts down. So the more you expose yourself to journal itself, and the more you expose yourself to new information about research, the more you get better. It's not a matter of a maybe one day job or just sit down in one webinar and you understand what research is all about in 1 minute. In fact, that's why I'm doing my PhD. I'm still learning how to do other types of research. I'm still learning sophisticated or advanced methods in data analysis, in quantifying disease risk, in doing all sorts of things. So you still have those opportunity for you to build capacity as you move along in your career. So it's not just like one day, okay, you just sit down on your laptop. Today I want to know research. Yeah, no, it's a continuous process. You continue to expose yourself to new information. And you can use secondary research as a way for you to constantly write. Maybe you have beautiful idea on the funding system, maybe in Nigeria or in one African country. You can decide to write about what are the things that you think can be done. And what do you have to do? Look for a sample paper in that journal that way you want to submit. And on this channel, you see that we have a lot of videos and more, like we still have more that will be rolling out that will be useful to you in having some tips, insight on how you can understand some things better. So you guys sit down one day and say you want to understand research from the beginning to the end. What is important is that you have to understand that research is a lifelong process. There are new methods, new ways that will come up from time to time and be able to learn how to do them in a better way. Now, the more you do research, and I'm sure the more you expose yourself to new information regarding research, the more you also uh, you will notice that you have interest in some areas. And I'm telling you again, the benefit of undergraduate research is that as you're doing that research, as you're getting involved in research, you also notice that you will be able to transit easily from being an undergraduate researcher to doing your maybe your postgraduate research. It says that you understand what you have been working on, you understand the area that you want to go into. So for me, it's not so difficult for me to know what exactly I want to focus on for my graduate school. It's not hard for me because it's what I've been doing, right? I've been doing it for quite a while, and of course, so it's easy for me to know that oh, this area is what I'm interested in. That's another benefit for me. And your final year project research is also very, very important. Even if you are unable to do any other form of research, and that's what you focus on, to master, to learn how it is done, to pay the price of working well with your supervisor, I'm sure that's also a plus. If you don't do any other research, maybe like your final year presently, and you're about where would I start? Focus on that. Focus on that. Make sure you do a very good work. Immerse yourself to learning. Immerse yourself to asking questions from your supervisor and all those things, of course will continue to also add to your capacity as a young researcher. Now, let me also focus again on undergraduate research. I will urge you that you should try as much as possible to publish your research. So why do you want to do that research and you will not publish it? So from the beginning, maybe let's say you are in 300 level now, you are in 200 level now. You can maybe once you get to 300 level or 400 level, if your course is maybe 5 years, if you're in 300 level, you can reach out to maybe a lecturer or a professor that you admire. You go to them, you talk to them that you really want to work with them. Maybe you've read some of their papers on Research Gates, like I said, on Google Scholar. Just Google the name of some of your lecturers. You see them coming up. And once they come up, you can see the kind of research that they do. So maybe you have been reading their work and say, oh, I like your work. I really want to work with you. I'm willing to learn and I want you to support me in this particular area. Instead of you to wait until final year for someone to assign you someone that you don't like, someone that you are not happy to work with. So you can go beforehand, and that professor or that lecturer will be able to navigate so that you'll be able to get the opportunity to work with that professor or with that lecturer. So the things that most of us we don't start so early. We wait to maybe we started sharing or started allocating people to professors. Oh, I don't want to work with this man. I don't like his research interest. So you have your own research interest from 200, from 300 level. These are the benefit that you have. You have that exposure so early. For me now, I have 3 publications for my undergraduate thesis. I published 3 papers in peer-reviewed journals for my undergraduate thesis. I reach out to the person that was my supervisor. Now, "Oh, I'm interested in this particular area. I want to work on this particular topic." And it went well. I was allocated to her, and I was able to learn quite a lot in addition to what I've been doing even before then. And of course, I already know I want to publish and I communicated that. So most of the time, don't wait when they start assigning people. And if you have been assigned someone, maybe you're in your final year right now, look for a way to work with them, communicate with them, and you'll be happy and you'll be excited and you are willing to put in the work to do quality work for this nation to be published. Because it's a plus. Imagine you as an undergrad, you already have a publication. If you want to go for grad school and you put that on your CV, that alone is enough. If it's just one, is enough. Because as an undergraduate, we don't generally expect you to publish. That's the general convention. As an undergraduate, you're not expected to publish. When you are able to step out, like from the crowd, to be able to pay that price, and you were able to publish with the support of the supervisor, then that's a big plus to your profile. No matter the fee that you're going into, no matter if you're not interested in research in the long run, why do you want to do that research? If you're not going to maybe communicate it with the world, communicate your findings to the scientific community, why do you do it? So you also ask yourself that question: that why do you want to labor so much and you want to get to work properly? So look for a way to reach out to those people. When you're in your third year right now, and you like a lecturer, you like his area of research, you can check them online, move closer to them, tell them your mind that oh, you want to work with them, and you are willing to pay the price. And your end goal is that you want to publish your work in peer review journal. What are the supports that will be provided to you in this regard? Importantly, mention that you want to pay the price of working hard so that you can do quality work that will be publishable. So I know quite a number of students that publish their undergraduate thesis, and it's always a plus to them. If it's just that one publication that you have, or if you are unable to engage in another publication, you focusing on that alone and getting that published is something. So, but if you can do much more, maybe in your third year, your second year, you can still invest more in building capacity in different areas that you want to explore or topic that you want to explore for your undergraduate thesis. So, another important thing is that I'll be stopping in the next 10 minutes. I will open the floor for questions. So, start preparing your questions and what you want to know. Our next class will focus on understanding how to improve your writing skills as an early career researcher, as someone that also want to get involved in research. For now, start typing your questions somewhere. I will look at the chat box to answer them so that it will be interactive as much as possible. So another thing that okay, publishing your thesis is important. Um, now for people that are interested in wet lab research, okay, yeah, maybe you're interested in research that you have to maybe do something in the laboratory. For you, what you can start doing is for you to identify maybe a professor or a lecturer that you can volunteer with. Maybe when I'm saying volunteer, you don't expect to be paid. You'll be exposed to how to do different things in that particular area. Let's say you're in pharmacy now, and maybe you know one of your lecturers actually do something, maybe cancer assay or cancer, maybe the concentration of cancer or testing treatment or maybe rats or anti-cancer on rats or this kind of thing. Maybe you've read their work or maybe online or you see what they do before that time. You can try to volunteer with them during break. And another thing that is if you volunteer with them, that can also go into your CV. Publication is not a way, it's not the only way to demonstrate that you have research experience as an undergraduate. You can demonstrate research experience with you just maybe having maybe some form of research experiences in different laboratories. So you can volunteer maybe during the brain break or when you are free to learn about different approaches or different methods when it comes to undergraduate research or when it comes to research in that field. Maybe cancer research, maybe pharmachem, maybe pharmacognosy, maybe a particular area that has to do with laboratory. Maybe you do some assay in the laboratory. So you're able to learn that from that professor, that lecturer. You can look. It's also possible at times that you can have some labs, maybe in your community, maybe in your environment, that you can also apply to maybe during breaks, or during holidays. And you can just even just you are exposing yourself to new information. Maybe you want to learn how to use gas photography. Or you want to learn how to use a particular method. is useful for your area of interest for your field, and you want to do maybe your master's or postgraduate later, you can leverage on professors or lab that is available in the city. Might not even be in your school. Volunteer, you don't want to be paid. This is the interesting aspect. I mean, the benefit and other things they will come. But what you have to do right now is to focus on you building your capacity, building your skill. So if you're interested in wet lab research, you can volunteer with professors, lecturers in that area. You can look for them, maybe in your city, maybe in a laboratory that is there. You can go there, volunteer, and let different approaches that is relevant to your field. And finally, of course, importantly, you also have to build additional capacity in research. And like I said, it's a long life process. And that means that if you want to continue in the research journey or in the research field, you should have to start thinking of your postgraduate education now. And of course, where you want to do that. For instance, if you know that you want to do research in maybe in cancer biology, what you can start doing right now is to start maybe building your capacity or improving your exposure. You can join international organization. Maybe there's something called American or European or Nigerian Institute of African Cancer Biology. I don't know if that exists. You start looking for those kind of information and you join them to be their maybe a student member, once you are an undergraduate, and you able to have access to some of this information, some of this exposure that would be useful to you. So it's about you exposing yourself to that information, to information in that line. And if you need to build capacity in laboratory cancer biology, you need a particular method, and you know someone that is working in that area among your professor or lecturer, even if it's not in your department, like be in the institution, you can reach out to them. That, okay, you want to spend maybe 2 weeks, or maybe 1 week, or 3 weeks, just for you to learn things about research in this particular area. And all these things will go into your CV, will go into your experience section. So to build your CV and improve your profile is not difficult at all. It's about you exposing yourself to relevant information. For instance, you can look for conferences in your feed, you can attend. If you are not presenting, just attending is adding to you, is improving your exposure, is improving the opportunity for you to have exposure to maybe top researchers or researchers in your area. So there are many things that you can focus on, that you can pay the price that will definitely add to you in terms of you strengthening your profile. Because as you can see, if you want to go into graduate school now, it's actually getting really, really competitive. So how do you want to distribute yourself? Imagine you that you have started from maybe 20 level, you started exposing yourself to opportunities, insights, beautiful things, beautiful research in that area. You're already volunteering in laboratories to learn more about cancer biology research. You're already doing all sorts of things. I'm just using cancer biology as an example. It could be in engineering, it could be in anything. So you've already started those little prices. Imagine when you finish. You've already created different sector for yourself in your CV. Even if you don't attend international conference, you just attending local conference is enough. Is a point, is something. And most of these conferences are international, they have travel grants, they have scholarship, and you can apply, you can shoot your shot, you can apply to summer schools and different things. So undergraduate years is an opportunity for you to try many things. You're not an expert researcher here that we expect you to focus on one area. Oh, okay, you should focus on just cancer. No. Unless if you are convinced that, oh, this is what I want to do. Okay, I'll focus on HIV research. This is what I want to do. If you are so sure that that's what you want to do, then focus on it, right? But no one expects you to focus on a particular area too much. But if you can focus on a broad area, it's okay. Or if you are so sure that you want to focus in a narrow field, maybe flooding, maybe water sustainability, maybe fishery, or maybe aqua something research, you already know that narrow field that you want to focus on. You can start in that line. So when you want to apply for your master's, your PhD, you already have beautiful experience that will blow the review away. That, oh wow, student, you've done quite a lot of things already. So, but it doesn't just start now. It started with a lot of effort right from your undergraduate years. And if you want to start, maybe you're in your final year now, don't worry. You can start anything at any time. It's you just your willingness to pay that price, to invest your time, and of course, to get things done. So next week we are going to focus on writing. If you are looking for ways, you are struggling with how to write properly papers, in terms of you write, how academics actually write, I'll be sharing practical tips and insights that will be useful to you. So I think if someone is yes, maybe just check this channel 4 p.m. next week's uh, next Sunday. You'll be able to join. Just so if you are looking for a way to build capacity, sharing practical tips that this is just to give you an overview of many possibilities and the potential benefits for you. And someone asked me then that you make money from research as an undergraduate. Well, the whole idea for me is not to really make money, is to learn about it. But of course, with time, it's more exposure with you building yourself in that line to be able to do meaningful research. Money is going to come. You can win grants, you can win scholarship, you can win fellowship that will actually give you money to do that research that you're passionate about. So there are many benefits if you are researching. Really being an intellectual, being someone that is a problem solver, all rounder. Let me just tell you that there are a lot of benefits to you being a researcher. But the beginning, what you have to focus on is you building that capacity, you improving your knowledge, your skills. The more you do that, I've seen quite a lot of my mentees when they when they improve now, I is something remarkable. Likewise, myself, I don't just start like this. I started with a lot of process of building myself, of improving my knowledge, of having more exposure, of trying many things and having different rejections. Rejection should be something that you should get used to as young academics or as even someone that wants to grow in like professionally. Rejections will come. So don't let that weigh you down. It's normal. Everyone faces rejection time to time. No one is perfect. And you might think your application is perfect and you don't get it. That doesn't mean that you are bad. The point is that everyone is seeing the process of learning. Even top professors, top researchers, they still have their papers rejected. I still have my papers rejected till now, journal. So, but you try to get better and improve your knowledge and how to improve things. So, in time, things tend to improve. So, as researcher, rejection is just 5 and 6. But the whole idea is that you continue to try, you continue to improve your skill, continue to improve your knowledge. So, now I will look at the chat box now to look at some questions that are waiting for me. So, let's get into that. Um, so, if you have any question, you can drop it. Okay, which platform? Let me answer this question first. This person was asking that which platform can one use in communicating the opinion to improve writing skills? Hmm. In journals, they are also say, I mean, academic journals where scientists publish. There's also section for opinion articles. Let's say, for instance, you have opinion on how we can improve the funding system, or you notice something during the pandemic, or you notice something in a particular field, you want to talk about it. You can write an opinion article and get it submitted to a journal. What is important? I have videos, different videos, this channel that can make it easy for you to be able to learn how to search for journal. I think there's a video already. So, searching for journals, I think it's easy this era. And if you are not so sure of different journals, you can reach out to someone that is eligible to suggest journals to you. So, but if you go online and you search journals published by, but I have a video on my channel on how you can identify journals. So if you have identified a journal, what you have to check, first thing you check is the guide for authors. What is guide for authors? Guide for authors is where everything about our journal, the scope of the journal, you have everything written there, and you'll be able to see whether they accept opinion article, whether they accept commentaries, viewpoint, perspective, or letters to the editor. These articles are just like opinion-based articles. I have a video on this channel again that talked about how to write one and how you can pen things down. What is important is you understanding the journal initially and whether they accept commentary, opinion, perspective article that you can use to share your own insight or your own ideas. So instead of you to go online or maybe go on Facebook start writing things. Sometimes there are some things that are academics that you can write them in a way that is convincing enough that can be published, maybe in an academic journal. For instance, let me give you an example. Maybe you want to write something about AI, how we can use AI to improve access to healthcare among people living with disability. That's like an example of an opinion article because now you're the one that know what you want to write and what you want to suggest. Now we can leverage artificial intelligence to improve access to among people living with disability. And before you write that kind of article, of course, you're going to have points on what you want to write. And like I said, there are no people from that journal on what the commentary, and you can use that to mirror how you structure your own writing as well and your own the way you pen. I'm not saying you should copy what they've written because it's not a similar thing. It's just the structure of how it is written. So don't worry, this platform is actually created to solve this problem of sharing possible insights. But if you want to publish your opinion article, you can still use journal. There are journals that can publish your opinion articles. They can publish what you think, your thoughts, your insights. So I hope that is clear. Ayobiko. How were you able to publish with a first class and publish so much even as a pharmacy student? Could you briefly take us through time management skills that helped you? Thank you very much for that question. The thing is that for me, like I started learning about how to do research, started reading journals, started doing sort of things right from my third year in the university, my third year in the university. So it was easy for me to expose myself to a lot of information, right? On writing, on doing research. But at the same time, I understand that I need to finish well. And in fact, what motivated me then was that, Yusuf, you don't just want to finish with just B farm. I want to finish with something more. I want to finish beyond just holding that degree of pharmacy in my hand. What are the other things I've done that have added to me that built my capacity? And I know that I'm interested in research for my second year. I know that I want to do research. But like I said earlier, it's when I attended this program in I think towards my third year. That program actually exposed me global health emerging health program. So I was exposed to possibility of doing research as an undergraduate. So I started investing time, started investing, you get, start learning different things about research right from then. And during that time, there's no, I don't really see anyone publishing around me. I don't really see any student publishing around me. It's uncommon to see a student doing that. So I focus more on learning. You get, I focus more on my capacity of exposing myself to a lot of information in my early days. So when I got to 400 level, I've got some enough rejection, enough feedback from different journals, a lot of information from my mentors, my role models, which I've gathered over time. So now I have some mastery of how to start writing or how to start doing research. So, I focus on mastery first. Like I said, you have to continue to learn. But when you have some level of mastery, you know that, oh, okay, at least I understand how to do things better in this particular area, how to write better on this particular topic. Because I've exposed myself like the first 1 year or 6 months to 1 year to expose myself to enough information about research. And I was doing this when I was maybe doing break, maybe early part of the semester, when we don't have exams, when we don't have tests. Because when we have that, I know that I have to finish well, graduating with the first class, and at the same time, I need to build additional capacity. So I have two goals, two big goals in my mind that you still have to do well your academics, and you have to finish with something more. And that's something more for me was to get involved in research as an undergraduate. So I was able to plan my time accordingly. So at the early days of the pandemic, of the semester, I tried to focus on learning about research, on reading papers, while I also read books. So you can do this thing that a way that is not going to conflict. You have to look at your calendar. How can you plan your time? And of course, I have time to also enjoy myself. Don't think I only focus on academic work, reading, doing research from morning to night. I do some other things. People that know me know that. So, of course, it's just about planning your time accordingly. Okay, this time you already know that every night, 9 to 10, you want to read journal articles, maybe or 9 to don't make it look bulky. Maybe just for 15 minutes, maybe for 20 minutes. Consistency is what is important. Or maybe you want to go online and see something, or you want to take that particular course, you want to learn how to write a narrative review, or you want to learn how to write different kinds of articles. So you have to be strategic on how you plan things and how you want to learn them. So it might be that today you want to understand how publishing is all about. Just go online and just maybe guide for workers in a journal, see everything. Go to another journal. We have a lot of journals, a lot of reputable journals. So that doesn't mean that you should not do other things, but you can plan your time maybe once a week. If you want to really grow fast, but you want to schedule more time, maybe every night, 30 minutes, 15 minutes. Atomic habits. That's why I never believe that you cannot learn. There's something in particular that you cannot learn. I don't have that mentality. Maybe it's something that will be so difficult for you to learn. I constantly believe, like subconsciously, that if I want to learn something, what I need is to sit down with it, focus on it, pour my attention into it. And the more I do that, the more I add it to myself. Let me give you an example. Let's say a math question is really, really hard, it's difficult to solve, or maybe there's something that you want to do that is really, really difficult. You just be exposing yourself to that thing daily. Learn something new about that thing daily, or now you can navigate that particular thing. You will not be the same. The person that you have maybe a day before, you are always added to yourself daily by just exposing yourself to new information, new insight on what you want to solve. So that should not be an excuse. So what is important is you strategizing on how you want to do things, and of course, still enjoy your undergraduate years. Go to dinners, go to social events in your department. Not that you have to sit there in one room from morning till night. Oh, this person is known for always sitting in the room in his room without being any other. Don't do that. You have that time to also explore some other things. So you can explore research if that's what you want to build capacity. Look for time, schedule time to do that, and at the same time, you can move your academic work from the early days of the semester. I started reading already. I don't have to wait till the end of the semester that when things have already piled up. And of course, I still have the opportunity to also teach my colleagues then in pharmacy school. And when you want to teach, you have to read. So I teach, and as I was also teaching them, I'm getting clarity. So I'm doing that. I'm building capacity in research and in other areas that interest me. That's my personal professional development. So you just have to look at what works for you, but what is important is consistency and you attaching value to what you want to learn. I hope that is clear. Thank you for that question, Benedita. Two days I get stressed easily. I lack consistency, although I'm always curious to know how can I focus on a particular field without getting bored. So, what is important really is that you have to attach motivation to something. You have to attach why to some things. For instance, some people, why they want to get involved in research, it might be that they see it as an opportunity for them to maybe improve their career or improve their exposure that will later improve the quality of their life. That is not bad at all. It might be for you that why you want to get involved in research, to build your capacity, why you want to focus on something, basically is to improve your circumstances. So you have to attack why reasons. The reason why you get bored or you get uninspired at times to do things that you are passionate or that you really want to do is that if you look at it, if you look at the thing in your mind, you will see that the major what has happened or what caused that is that you yourself might not even be able to relate to why you are doing that thing. So you have to be able to understand which why to think. And that why should be personal to you. For me, it might be that why I'm doing this to achieve this particular. You have to have why and what you see yourself achieving, or you expose yourself to things that will always motivate you. If you need to change your cycle of friends, that won't bring you all down or making you unmotivated. Give that as an example. And you should join maybe network of another friend, of group of friends that are also highly motivated, that you want to achieve similar. We see that your focus or your attention or how excited you are about things can actually improve. So at times is what the kind of things that you expose yourself to. That's why I said leverage social media. Follow people, use LinkedIn, follow people that constantly inspire you. When you see things from you always get inspired that, oh, I need to start doing things. I need to start building. I need to start exposing myself to new information, new things. And that doesn't mean that you have to work yourself up in the sense that you don't have to be worried about. Don't be worried. You have time. Take time to learn things. Take time to enjoy things that you love. Take time to build capacity in things that you want to add your knowledge or improve your knowledge. So things take time. You don't have to get things done If you see someone that's or you see someone that writes really well, or you see someone that does a particular thing really well, that you're marveled that, oh, this person is so good. I want to encourage you to at the early days of that person. If you have the opportunity to speak to that person, you know that they don't just being that person that you admire. Always understand that there is journey to things and there's reasons, there are reasons why you want to get involved. So you have to understand the reason for you. I'm not saying for anybody. Oh. It might be for me that it's for a particular thing or thing. It might be that you have your own personal why. So you have to attach why that is important and constantly motivate you to wake up and do things. And again, if you want to do something really remarkable or something really big or something really inspiring, you have to do things when you don't feel like. That's another hard truth. That's when you know that you are indeed ready for growth. You have to do things when you are not feeling motivated. And that when you started doing that kind of thing, you will know that you have grown. So you have to devote your time, yourself, constant growth, personal development. So that means that you have to pay the so don't get bored. Always surround yourself with people that will inspire you. If you need to change your network, look around you. Maybe they are maybe affecting you in a way. You expose yourself to new friends or give yourself new exposure to things that will always constantly motivate you on the reason why you need to succeed. So thank you for that question, Sophia. So how do we gather ideas based on different journals that we have read on a particular topic in a way that our summary will are plagiarized? Hmm. That's another thing regarding writing. One thing is that you always have to avoid plagiarism in your work, in the sense that you must not copy people's work and say and call it your own. And how do you achieve this? That's why you have to pay the price to learn how to write. So let's say you are writing a paper and of course, you have to build your knowledge. If you are reading different papers and you want to cite them in your own work, you don't just copy sentence. Just copy sentence from Mr. A, copy sentence from Mr. B, then join them together and put it that, oh, I'm writing something. So what is important is you letting your own voice actually know. There are a lot of courses on how to avoid plagiarism. But I know one of the problem is that I've not actually paid close attention to how to actually write initially. What you should focus on right now is how you can express your mind. Maybe that you just start from okay, maybe you want to write on the aim of this or this in your country. I say, okay, let me just write 100 words on that topic. Then you write it. Write on that particular topic. Once you write on it, maybe you different journals, or you just start initially without looking for journals, or you start looking for papers, your own ideas, start looking for papers from anywhere. Just try to write it. And you can leverage maybe for ChatGPT, for instance, you can send it feedback on your writing, how you can improve your writing. Now, like the area that you have to leverage on many tools. Don't worry, next week we're going to talk more about how to improve your writing, what you can start doing in greater detail. The whole idea, what is causing people to plagiarize in most cases is that they don't want to write or they don't know how to write and they just want to copy from different sources. So you should never do that. And if you want to copy, for instance, you want to copy maybe definition from WHO, or maybe there's a standard definition for something your fee. You can use quotation, you can quote it, and that's fine. But remember, you can't quote so many things in your paper. But if there's some definition that you want to use definition from WHO or from an organization, you can simply just quote. But there's all lot of new lesson on that, which I hope to cover next week. How to improve your writing and how you can avoid plagiarism. So, where does meta-analysis fall in terms of research, and how can one learn this meta-analysis? Basically, if you want to meta-analysis just means that you are combining estimates from different papers. Let me give you an example on how you can actually learn it. Let's say you want to maybe understand risk of smoking, the association between the risk of smoking, maybe among people who doesn't, maybe people who smoke or something, the risk of COVID among people among smokers. We have a lot of papers that already they've already gotten some estimates. For instance, they've gotten estimates regarding maybe the risk ratio in terms of maybe the number of times that you have the risk of this particular disease in a particular group. So when you are doing meta-analysis, you are combining numbers, estimates, pulling estimates together from different papers. Let's say paper A found that the risk is actually 2 times. Another paper finds that the risk is 3 times. Another paper finds that the risk is 4 times. What you are doing as a researcher is that you are combining the estimate. When you are combining the estimate, you want to get a full estimate that will set up that will allow us to say for a fact after we combine different papers together on this particular topic, we can say smoker actually have 25 risk, 25 times risk of actually coming down with COVID compared to non-smokers. Or how we're able to get that estimate is through meta-analysis, where you combine different papers together. So if you want to learn about meta-analysis, what is important is that you have to have a very good understanding of what systematic review is. Because you do a systematic review, in most cases first, try to get the papers that are available, then you now use meta-analysis if it is possible. In some cases, it's not possible for you to pull estimates together. So if you cannot pull estimates together, then the highest that you can do is to stop at the systematic review level. You cannot proceed to meta-analysis. That's why it's recommended that you do a systematic review first and then you cannot do a meta-analysis. So for you to be able to have a full lesson or full uh, course, I'll give you insight on that. I think there's a course on Concrane. There's something called Cochrane, Conchran. There's something called Cochrane, and there are different courses on systematic review and meta-analysis that you can learn. Even on Coursera, there's a course there on introduction to meta-analysis. You can take that too. That will give you possible insight to add to your knowledge on what meta-analysis is. But meta-analysis is not always suitable because in some cases you cannot just add estimates together because maybe there's a lot of heterogeneity in terms of uh, different papers and the way they do those papers. You cannot just combine them together. Then you stop at the systematic review level. Or if you can proceed, maybe due to the way the studies that you've were done, then you cannot proceed to meta-analysis. So you have different courses on Coursera that you can check in relation to meta-analysis. That would be useful to you. Um, Great question. Survey, yes, you can adapt survey from other research. Let's say you saw a paper that was done in research that was done in maybe in New York or in Nigeria or in any country, and you also want to do that similar research, maybe in Nigeria or maybe in Africa or maybe in somewhere in Africa. You want to do that same research there. You want to replicate the study. You can easily send email to the lead author of that paper. Can they send you the questionnaire? You can you when you read a journal article, there's always email of corresponding author. You can send email to me that can they send you the questionnaire, or can the corresponding author send you the questionnaire, the survey that they use, that you want to adapt for research criteria, and you're going to cite them in your paper. Most authors are willing to do that, and it's allowed. It's allowed. It's allowed for you. You can adopt. In fact, there's some research that you can use questionnaires from WHO. There's some research that you can use questionnaires from WHO. Maybe they have already standardized questionnaire that you can adapt into your own setting. Or you see a paper online and you like the research and you want to do it in your own country. You want to do it in your own setting. Maybe they've done it somewhere, you want to do it. You just send email to the corresponding author and ask, can they give you the questionnaire? You want to use it for your own research. In most cases, they are willing to do that. They're happy to give you the stuff to use. And interest. Another thing is that in some cases, I need to also pre-test the survey in your own setting. Maybe some questions. Maybe you use dollar. Maybe to ask for the monthly income. You cannot use dollar in Nigeria. You have to change it to your own. So that means that you have to change the questionnaire. So you have to cite it maybe in your dissertation. So that is allowed. Or if you also want to learn how to develop your own questionnaire from the scratch, there are different courses that you can leverage. So it's possible, it's allowed. You can adapt survey to, in fact, some research, they will attach their questionnaire to the supplementary material of the journal article. So you can easily download that and use that. But of course, you have to cite them in your own dissertation or your own paper. Okay, we adapted the tool that was developed by maybe Adebisi et al. So you've adapted it and you're using it in your own, so it's allowed. I hope that is clear. So do you still have any other question? So in addition to everything I've said, as undergraduate, I hope that this session is able to give you insights and you get the feeling of possibility. Just need to know your way around what you need to start building capacity in, what you need to learn, and at the same time, what is research like in your field, which field are you interested in, who are people that are already doing research in that area, network with them, follow them on social media, try to understand how to build additional capacity and interest knowledge in your field. So it is possible as an undergraduate research to do research. And if you're in your final year right now, and you want to publish your paper in peer review journal, possible. Just try to speak to your supervisor, talk about it, and you are willing to pay the price to do a very good work that will make your work publishable in peer review journal. So if you still have any other question, you can simply drop it in the comment section. And next week we are going to have another section on how to write because I think one of the major challenges that undergraduate actually face when it comes to research is that writing skills, that ability to write. So having another interesting section on that to dissect what are the facts, what are the things that you need to know regarding scientific writing. And I hope to see you there for you to have additional insight. And I will hold you and invite you to also invite your friends, colleagues to this channel that are interested in research or personal and professional development as a whole. This channel is dedicated to that, to give back, share my insights, share useful knowledge, things that will make the journey a lot more easier, and the kind of information that I personally lack when I started. Everything would share with you, of course, free. And I hope you are able to value that, and you're able to pay the price of you investing in building capacity and adding to your skills, your knowledge. Because I constantly tell people that undergraduate years is an opportunity for you to explore different things. And in fact, get you don't need to know where you want to be maybe in the next how many years or people might say. What is important is you constantly testing water, you constantly doing things. So with time, you're going to see things that you like, what you really want to focus on, and what you really want to explore. So, for instance, now for my undergraduate years, I already know that I want to do my master's in global health in epidemiology. And that was so clear and just so easy for me to be able to navigate that. In the sense that, okay, I already know this is what I want to do. I already started paying that price of investing my time into building this capacity alongside my academics. So what is important, what you start to focus on, don't be worried about you see many people achieving different things, or you are not achieving anything, you are thinking that you're not doing enough. What is important is that you wake up one day and say, okay, I want to really change the way I do things, I want to change my life. I want to change the way I approach things, the way I approach things that I do. Even I'm talking about beyond research. I mean, as a whole, things that you expect yourself to. So nothing good comes easy. Anyone you see that is high achieving, they have their own low time, their own low get where they don't talk about things that they've gone through. And what you see is that you see them shining, blowing everywhere, or you see those things flashing stuff. Those are the things that you see. But always remember that there are times where they focus on building. And I think that we should not lose that version of ourselves as young people that things just happen all of a sudden. No, there's aspect of growth, there's aspect of depression, there's aspect. I'm not it might not be clinical depression, it might just be that you're feeling that I'm not achieving enough. There are all those aspects where you have self doubt. on their capability. But what is important is that they continue to strive for excellence and they continue to build themselves and they continue to add to their knowledge and skills. So, undergraduate years is an opportunity for you to accumulate all these things, all these little experiences. All the people that I know in my own network from undergraduate years, we're already doing things, we're already challenging things that are actually unconventional, applying for things that indeed people wonder why are people doing all these things? And all of them now they're in better places. They are doing amazing stuff. We don't just start where we don't just start like, oh, okay, Yusuf is now going to Oxford. It's not like you don't just start like that. Or Yusuf is now doing his PhD fully funded in University of Glasgow. It doesn't just start like that. It started with a lot of processes, a lot of capacity building. And with time, everything is actually paying off in terms of what you achieve, in terms of how you have some other benefits that have added a significant and remarkable opportunity to your career. So it's a process. So don't feel overwhelmed. That, oh, they're going to look for my friend is published. Yeah, I can't publish anything. No, don't. That's not the idea of doing why we are doing this thing. It's for you to reflect and to understand that growth is actually possible. And you will be able to what you just need is to expose yourself to new information as much as possible. No one care where you come from or whether you are from one local or poor community or poor family. All those things are not important at the end of the day. What is important is what you do yourself and the kind of investment, the kind of effort that you actually put into building yourself, into changing your life in different ways, whether research, whether in other areas, professionally, whether doing things that are unconventional, that you are even talking yourself down on that you can't do. So you have to be daring. That's the point. You have to be daring. You have to know that nothing good actually come easy. So um, thank you very much for joining. And I think there's no question. And thank you for your kind words, everyone. And I hope to see you next week. For people that want to learn how to write properly, how to improve their writing skills, we're going to have another beautiful session. I think we can end the session now. Thank you very much for joining. I hope to see you next. So invite your friends to subscribe to this YouTube channel. And I think with people that joined today, we can get this channel to 1,000 subscribers before the end of the day. So thank you very much for joining. And if you have any feedback, you can drop it in the comment section. Thank you. You're welcome. I hope I didn't miss any questions though. You're welcome. You're welcome. I hope you have value for your time because time is money, and hopefully you are inspired to start doing anything even beyond research. There are many other things that you can start doing. Thank you very much for joining and invite your friends. And I'll be dropping more video and more opportunities from time to time. So I think I'm going to okay. So is there any more difference between writing and essays? Hmm. Let me quickly answer this question for this person. He was asking, is there really more difference between research writing and essay? Essays basically is you writing about something, and well, research is also about you writing, but research is more structured in a way that you don't just write anything, and there are languages that you use in academic writing. That's why I urge people to try to read academic papers so that you will see the way people write and the way people communicate. For instance, when I'm writing essays, maybe I'm writing essays for maybe a competition, I use some words that on a normal day I won't be able to use them in like normal writing, in normal scientific writing. But if you're writing research paper, there are ways to structure your articles. And these are the things we're going to discuss more next week on how you can write in a scientific way, how you can communicate your research, whether you are in sciences, which I have more experience in, whether social science is relevant to social science, is relevant in earth sciences, life sciences. So I'll be sharing practical tips on how to improve your writing to make it academic of high standard uh, journals level. So just writing essays, essay can be anything. So if you're writing essays, sometimes you're using some more academic words, and there's also some academic essays as well. Opinion articles, commentaries, they are examples of academic essays. So essays can be non-academic. That can be an essay maybe for news articles or other things. But what you'll be focusing on is when you're writing research articles, basically to make your writing academic as much as possible. So there are a lot of ways, and the way you structure journal articles. If you read journal articles, you will notice what I'm saying. The way they structure the table, the way you write the references, all those things that are there. Those are the things that you need to learn. And the more you expose yourself to reading journal articles, reading papers in peer-reviewed journals, even if you don't understand what they are saying, at least you can have this. Okay, they structure this the paper this particular way. And all these things are things that I'm going to share with you next week on how you can improve your research writing ability and tips and tricks. If that's it, from my own experiences, that will be useful to you. So I hope I'm able to touch on the question, Benedict, because it's not really about research writing is structured. There are ways to write scientific papers, and that's why that guide for authors and everything. But for essays, other essays, some essays that you can use some languages. For instance, in academic paper, I cannot avoid using words that vary, avoid using some adjectives that are not needed. For instance, using something like big or using some kind of languages, we tend to avoid it in scientific paper. So there's a way you write like when it comes to science and when it comes to research that some essays might allow you to use. So you have to relearn how to do that. So if you have a very good writing skill for, if you've written quite a lot of essays before now, I can tell you for free that if you're a good essay writer, it will be easy to divert your skills now to writing scientific articles. But you still need to relearn something on how you write and how you communicate your ideas, the structure, and the way you write the method, the result section, all these things they require you having some level of understanding when it comes to research writing. But for normal essays, you can just write anyhow. You can just write based on the structure that you were given. You can use non-academic words. But when you are writing scientific paper, research articles, you want to use more academic words, academic languages. So I hope that is clear. And thank you very much, Pans Research Hub, for organizing this session. They are the one that actually inspired this session. Thank you very much, Ola Akulein Adebisi, for your effort and your team in putting this event together. So I hope to see you again next week for additional more insightful session like this. I hope you're able to get value from this program. Thank you very much. I think I'm going to end the live now. If you have any question, so if you have a question, we give like um, 5 minutes, 3 to 5 minutes for you to drop any question, anything that is bothering you at all. Just drop it. I will try to do some justice to you. We still have more sessions like this to give you additional useful insights that will be useful to you, your career, even beyond research. So the simple assignment today is to get your friends to subscribe to this YouTube channel. That's a way of supporting this event. So I'll wait for like 5 minutes. So the link to the analysis, I'm going to do that. At least I'm going to look for your comment and reply. The link courses that you can take for meta analysis. I'm going to do that at fees. Thank you very much for joining, everyone. So if you have any question, I'm still going to wait for like 5 minutes more. So you can drop your question, you can try that out. So I'm still going to have more insightful sessions like these on different topics. And you can watch different videos on the channel too as well for you to have, of course, new insights on different things, ranging from opportunities I've posted, courses. There are many things that you can see on the channel that you can also explore for your capacity building when it comes to research. So feel free to watch them and share with your friends. Um, you are free to do anything with the channel. Just watch. Thank you, Benedicta. Thank you, Ola, Kuleyin, Adebisi. Thank you, everyone, for joining. So we have like 3 minutes more to go. So don't be scared. Ask any question that you want to know anything about. Of course, we still have more other videos on the channel that you can watch, and other things that you can do when you're free. What is important is that you have to constantly pay the price of capacity building, improving your knowledge, your skills. Paying the price is something that we can never remove. And I can assure you, and I can tell you for free, everything is going to pan out well for you. So, but the process of you building capacity can be sometimes challenging, rejection here and there, uh, not having the motivation, but still constantly look for ways to draw the line back to any area that you want to build capacity in. Nothing good comes easy. We all need to pay the price. Of course, it's possible. I know people that are very good at writing essays. I would say they are very good at writing essays and are researchers. So you can be the two. You can write novels, you can write books. You just understand that when you are writing academic papers, they are like you write academic papers that is different from the way you write in other kind of articles. So you can be the two. And in fact, you tend to be skillful in the way you write. So ability. So there's no limitation that okay, you have to be or only an academic writer that you cannot write other kinds of articles. No, you don't have any kind of limitation. You can be. Uh, yeah, I know quite a lot of people that are very good at writing essays. I mean, no academic essays. And when they want to write scientific articles, so they are good at it. So you can be the two. So we have 2 minutes more to go. Don't worry, we continue to have this kind of section every weekend, Sunday. So if it's going to happen, I'm going to communicate it with you. Uh, Community tab. There's community tab here on YouTube. And Olakuleyin and Adebisi, we were able to also communicate with other people in UI and other university to be able to join. I hope you all make me proud in terms of you building capacity and doing exceptional things in your area of interest. So thank you everyone. See you next week. Bye.